So today's topic, what we are going to be discussing, the first topic is dynamic inputs. Now, what do you mean by this dynamic inputs? Dynamic input means reading the value, reading the value for a variable at runtime. At runtime. That is, you are not going to provide the value of a variable statically. We are going to provide it dynamically, dynamic inputs. That is, in normally so far in the programs, what we have seen, we were creating variable like this. Then we ourselves was giving the value also for it like this. Instead of me giving the value for this variable while I am typing the program, I am going to give the value for this variable while I am executing the programs. So at runtime means nothing but during execution. So during the execution of the program, how to give the values for my variables. That concept is what we call as dynamic inputs. Now, in order to give dynamic inputs, okay, I need to know some things. What is that is? First is how to create an object for a class. So regarding this, first I need to know about how to create an object. Now, you already know how to create a class. That we have already seen. Right. So now we are going to create an object. So the first question is, why should I create the object? You remember what I said during our OOP sessions? An object is nothing but the physical representation of a class. So, if a class is going to have something inside it, then for me to make use of that, I need to have an object. So, an object is what is going to make use of the things that belongs to a class. So, here, for me to read dynamic inputs, I am going to make use for reading dynamic inputs. I am going to make use of one predefined class. I'm going to make use of one predefined class. Now, predefined in the sense you are not going to create this class. The class has already been created and given for us. You are just going to make use of it. That is nothing but class. So what is the name of the class? The name of the class is called as scanner. So the name of the class is called as scanner. Right. Okay. Now, where is this class present? I said it is predefined. That means it has been already created for us. So where is this class present? How to make use of this class? What is there inside this class? Those are the things we are going to be seeing next. Right. So now, first question is, where is this class present? So where exactly is this class? This class is present within a package. Within a package called as util. Util. Utility pack. The full form of it, we call it as an utility pack. So the normal word what we use to represent it, util. So the first thing you should know is scanner is a predefined class. Where is this class present? This class is present within a package. You remember I already told you what is a package. A package is nothing but like a folder. So this class is present inside this folder. Name of the folder is util. Okay, where is util present? Util is present inside another package called as Java. This util is present within another package called as Java. So where is this util present? It is there inside Java. Inside a folder. Right. So how to make use of this scanner class? You have to write an import statement. We have to first line of our program must be an import statement. Import. What is that import going to do? Scanner is a class that is already present. We are not creating it. But I want to make use of the code present within this class. I'm going to make use of something that is present inside this class. So first thing is you have to tell your compiler. That is, you have to give the instruction to your compiler where it can find this class. Where it can find this class. Because if the compiler is able to locate this class only, then it will be able to make use of the things present inside it. So how to give that instruction to the compiler? With the import statements. So please understand why we are using import, because we are going to make use of this class. This class is present inside this folder, and this folder is present inside another folder called Java. So how to make my compiler find this is with the help of the import statement, which should be the first line of our code. Right. Now, how to write this import statement? What is the syntax for it? So how you are going to do import? What the keyword? So how to add this import statement is, first you have to write the keyword. Then what you have to import? Java. Inside Java, what you want to import? Dot util. Inside util, what you want to import? Dot scanner. That's it. So what you have to do, please understand very clearly. Import is one of our keyword, one of our 53 keywords. So import is one of the keywords. So what my program has to import? It has to import this Java folder. From this Java folder, it has to take the util folder. From this util folder, it has to take this class called as scanner. Done. My instruction is given. Now, second thing is, what is present inside the scanner? What is present inside the scanner class? And see what how I am writing scanner. Yes is capital letter. So scanner is a predefined class which is having yes in capital letter. Right. So what is present inside the scanner class? Inside the scanner class, there are functions. So what is present inside the scanner class? Functions. Functions to do what? Functions to read the value from the user. Functions to read the values from the user and store it inside of the variable. Inside the scanner class, we are having functions. So functions are present inside the scanner class. And what is the purpose of these functions? These functions are used to read the value. So used to read the value from the user and store it within the variable. Name of these functions. Separate function. Please remember this very carefully. Data type, I have a different function. Let's start with it. First, let us go with the integer data type. So integer data types. So this is the first category we're going to talk about. Now you already know under integer data types, I have four data types that are available for me. So what are the four data types we already know? Byte, short, int, and of course long. So there are four different integer data types for me. Again, remember what is an integer? Whole numbers. Whole numbers. Right. A variable of byte. and I want to read the value for that variable at execution, that is at runtime. What function should I make use of? I should make use of the function called as next byte. So what is the name of a function? You remember I already told you function is always represented within this parenthesis. So what is the name of the function? Next byte. Now, if I want to create a variable of the short data type and I want to read the value for that and store, then what is the function I have to use? Next short. It's very easy for us to remember the function. Why? Data type name, function name, same. Only thing is the next. Before that, we have to have this next. Now, integer. By now, you would have got the idea. What is it going to be? Next, int. See, next word is in lowercase, but the starting character of my data type is always, data type function name is always a capital letter. Right, same way for long. Next, long. This is the way to read my values. Now, the second data type I have real numbers. So we have the next category is my real numbers. Real numbers data types. So this is used for fractional values. So fractional values. Right. So under this, remember two data types. One is float and other one is double. So how to read a float value? Next float. So next followed by the data type name float. Same way for double. So if it is a double data type, next double. That is the name of my function. Done. So for my integer data types, for my real numbers, done. Now Boolean. Boolean data type. So for Boolean data type, remember I have only one category, which is also Boolean. Name of my data type is also Boolean. So how to read that value? Next Boolean. All my functions are like that. So it's very easy for me to remember the names of those functions. And remember, all these functions are present within this scanner class. Everything is inside this class only. Right. And the last category, character data type. That is single character value. Single character value. And remember, Boolean is true or false value. So true or false value is nothing but my Boolean. Right. So if I want to read a single character value, then only one function, that is char. How to read a char data type? Remember, there is no next char. You don't have any function called as next char. Right. So how am I supposed to read a single character? Right. Before reading this, tell me, I have another important data type, right? Strings. That is nothing but group of characters. Group of characters. So string is one of the most commonly used type. Name, string. Email ID, string. Address, string. Qualification, string values. Designation, string value. Project name, string value. So for most of my data, I can clearly say 80-85% of my data comes under the string category. So definitely I will have something for my strings. So how to read a string value? How to read a string value? I have a function. What is that function? Only next. Name of the function only next. Not anything else. I'm just going to call it as next. That's it. Right, there is no next string or anything else. Now, coming back to a single character. To read a group of characters, I used next. To read a single character also, I am going to make use of a same function, but a little different in syntax. So next dot, so next dot get char at. I have a function called as get char at. I have to specify 0. I will tell you what this is in a program. I'll explain to you this in a program. So right now, what you have to know, these are all the functions that I'm going to be making use of in my program to read dynamic inputs. And all these functions are present within the scanner class. Right now, I was telling you something about creating an object. So please remember, within a class, generally, when I talk about a class, what are the things that is going to be there inside of a class? You remember this? I told you when we are having a general syntax of the program. Inside a class, you are going to be having variables, plus we are going to be having methods. So methods are nothing but functions. Methods are nothing but what we call as functions. That is what you call as methods. So what is going to be there inside of class? Inside a class, you're going to have variables and methods. Now, whenever you're going to create a method, please remember, whenever we are going to create a method is of two parts. A method is always of two different parts. Or for creating it and for using it, there are two parts of that method. What are the two parts? We call that as method definition and method calling. So please remember, any method, I told you inside a class, you're going to have two things, variables and functions. Okay, now every function that you are creating, it always consists of two parts. What are the two parts? Function definition, or we call it as a method definition, and function calling or method calling. Now, what is this definition? Please understand, what do you mean by this term definition? Definition means for what purpose you are creating a function, to give some instructions. So giving that instructions is what we call as definition. You're going to give that definition. What is the code? What program? What instructions you're going to write inside that function? That is what you call as a method definition. That is called as a method definition. Okay, how to do it? How to do it? What is the syntax? Remember, here everything is based on syntax, rules, and regulations. We cannot just like that write anything. You always have to follow the rules. So, how to create a method? Method definition means creating a function. Creating a function by giving it, by giving instructions. By giving instructions on what the function need to be doing. So please understand what we mean by function definition. Giving instruction on what the function needs to do. Why are we creating this function? What is the work of that function? That is what you mean by function definition. So what is the syntax for that? Access specifiers. We already told you public, private, protected. Three access specifiers we are having. So any of that you can give here. A space. followed by return type. Access specifier, return type, space, method name. That is nothing but my function name. Then we are going to have call something called as parameters. And open curly brace, close curly brace. Inside this, give the instructions. That is nothing but the statements that is going to be present within the function. So this is the syntax of method definition or my function definition. So please understand how to give access specifier. Again, what is access specifier? I told you. Security, giving security to your function. That is accessibility. Who can make use of your function? Setting that ground rule is what the access specifier is all about. So, what are the valid things I can say? I can give either as public, or I can give it as private, or I can give it as protected. These are the access specifiers I can give. Now, you remember I told you about one more thing. When we do not mention any access specifiers, that is, when you don't use any of these three, then your compiler by default, compiler by default will consider the access specifier to be as default. So when we do not mention any of these three, then automatically my compiler is going to take the access specifier as default. Done. That is the first word here. Now, what is this return type? What do you mean by return type of a function? A return type specifies the data type of the function. Return type is specifying the data type of a function. Now, what do you mean by this concept? What do you mean by a return type? Or what do you mean by this data type of a function? Okay, let us try to understand this with our very simple example. Okay, now I am going to create a function. So, create a function. What is the work of that function? To add two numbers. This is the task of my function. So, why am I going to create that function? I am going to create that function in order to add two numbers. Right. So, after adding the two numbers, I am going to get the result. Okay, let us say I'm writing the code for it. How to write the code? This is my code. I am saying int a comma b comma sum. Okay, so let us just say a is equal to give some numbers. Then I'm saying b is equal to give some numbers. Then I'm saying sum is equal to a plus b. Done. So I have added the two numbers now. After adding the two numbers, I am going to get the sum. That is nothing but total. What am I going to do with that result? How am I going to handle the result? So, why are you writing this function? To add two numbers. So, when we add two numbers, we are always going to end up with a result. So, what is the function going to do with that result? That is what the return type means. So, a function can do two things. A function can do two things. What is the two thing? One, it can print the result. It can print the result. Two, it can give the result. So it can give the result to the main function. Remember what I told you, every program will have a main. And what is the purpose of the main? Main is the entry point of a program. Program's execution always starts from the main function. So that main, the name itself suggests that is the main part of the program. So this function that I have created to add two numbers, it is going to do the task. After completing the task, it is going to get a result. So it can do two things with that result. What is the two thing? One, the function itself can print the result also. Second one is it can give the result back to the main. It can say, okay, you have asked me to add two numbers. I have done my task. This is the result of it. So either of these two things I have to do. Either I have to do this or I have to do this. Any one thing but compulsory I have to do. Now, when the function is going to print the result itself, that is, when the function is going to handle the result by itself, in this situation, the return type is going to be void. Return type is going to be void. Now, what do you mean by this void? Void means void is another keyword. Void is a keyword. What do you mean by this void? It means nothing. Void is a keyword which means nothing. This function that I am writing is going to return, is going to give back nothing. That is the meaning of this void. Okay, whom are you telling this? You are telling this, sorry guys, you are telling this to my compiler. See, I am going to create a function for adding of two numbers, and after adding the numbers, my function is going to print the value there itself, inside the function itself. Hence, the function is not going to give back anything. That is why you giving this keyword why. Now, what about the other way? What if I want to return the result to my main function? Then we are going to have a return type. So return type is equal to the data type of the value. Please remember, when we are going to return some value, then the data type of the function, that is return type of the function, is the data type of the value. Data type of the returned value. I can be more specific. So when I add two integer numbers, what am I going to get as a result? Integer. So that is the data type of the function. That is the return value of the function. So what is the return value of the function? Return type of the function is the data type of the result. Nothing but data type of the result. So when you are adding two integer numbers, result is going to be an integer. If you are going to add two floating point numbers, result is going to be a float. When you're going to add two double numbers, result is going to be a double. So based on what value you're going to do, based on what task you're going to do, return value is going to be of that type. And that returned result data type is the value of your function also. Please remember the concept. So what you have to do? Access specifier, I told you what are the possible values. A return type of a function can either be void or it can be the data type of the resultant value. Right, so this is the two possibilities of my return type. Method name. Method name is nothing but the function name. Method name is nothing but an identifier. That is, it is the name given for the function. It is nothing but the name given to the function by the programmer. So you are only going to decide that name. What is that name going to be is something you are going to decide. Then, of course, I have something called as parameters, which we are not going to discuss now. We will discuss the concept of parameters later. Right. So this is generally the way of calling your your method definition. Right. The next syntax, what you're going to do is method calling. The next syntax, what you have to do is method calling. What do you mean by method calling? For me to execute the code, for me to execute the code, say the function I am saying, okay, void add, add within the opening curly brace. I am okay. So then I'm going to get result. I'm going to print myself. So system dot out dot println. You already know how to print. We already solve these things before, you know how to print the data. So doing here the values. So println. Let us just say some. Done. Then close. This is one way of writing the function. This is method A. This what we have written is for the first method. That is the result will be printed by the function itself. Now I told you I have one more. What is that one more method? I am going to write like this. Now this is the other way around. What I have done here, I am saying int. This function is going to return back something. What it is going to return? It is going to return an integer value. Why integer value? Because I'm going to add two integer number. Hence, my result is also of an integer data type. That result is what this function is going to give back. So the data type of the function or the return type of the function is an integer. Right. How to return the value? We will make use of this return keyword. So how to return the value? A return keyword is used. Return keyword is used to pass the value. To pass the result or to send the result to your main function. Now, this return keyword is like a delivery person. This return keyword is what is the work? It is like a let us say bring something or simple example postman. What is the job of a postman? Delivery. So whatever packages or whatever letters you're getting, from there he has to take it and give it to that concerned person. Which person? To whoever the address is present. Whichever address you are writing on the letter, to that person, the postman has to do the delivery. That is what my return keyword is also going to do. It is going to deliver the result. It is going to deliver the result from the function. It is going to carry the sum value and give it where? Give it to my main function. Like a courier or like a delivery person, the return keyword is going to be acting. Right. So the two ways of dealing my function. Function definition, right. Now, what is this function calling? So I have created the function. Some lines of code is there inside the function. How will this code execute? How is this code going to get executed? Only when I call the function. Method calling. Unless and until you call the function, the code written inside the function will never get executed. So you have to call. So it is kind of like us. Unless and until someone tells us, okay, do this, do this, do this, we'll not do that work at all. So that is how my function is also there. So unless you push, you ask it to do, it is not going to do that work. So that is what my function calling is all about. To execute the code written inside of a function, I have to call that function. Right. How to call the function? What is the syntax? You know, everything is syntax based here. So what is the syntax? Syntax is object name dot method name. Close it. So as I said, we will not discuss the parameters now. What we are going to discuss, object name dot method name. Method name we already know. That is the name we are giving when we are going to call the create the function. Here in our program, the function name is add. Now, what is this object name? How to create that object name? So that is what I said. How to create an object. So in order for me to create an object, I should know the syntax of that also. So how to create an object? What is the syntax to create an object? So syntax is class name. For which class you're going to create the object? That class name mention. Space. Object name. So what is the name of the object going to be? Again, your choice. You can give any name for it. Equals to new. Again, repeat the same thing. Class name of. This is the syntax we use to create an object. So how to create an object? This is the syntax. Class name. For which class am I going to create that object? Object name equals to new. What is this new? Again, new is a keyword. New is a keyword that is used to allocate memory for an object. So new is a keyword. What is the purpose of new? It is used to create a memory for an object. So that is why the new keyword is always needed. Object is something which is used to store the values here. So object also requires memory space. Who creates the memory for the object? This new keyword. New keyword is responsible for allocating the necessary memory for object. For every object, memory is different. It is not going to be same. According to the requirements, the object's memory size will differ. So deciding that, creating that is the work of this new keyword. Right. So now I know how to create an object. Coming back here, how to call a function? Object name dot method name. This is the syntax we have to follow. So now coming back to our data. Scanner is a class. Inside the class, these functions are already created. That means what? Function definition. Now I have to call the functions because I want the code written inside this function to get executed. For that, what is the syntax I told you? How to call a function. You can call the function with the help of the object only. you have to create an object of the scanner class. You have to create an object of the scanner class. Now, I told you how to create an object. Syntax of creating an object I told you. Now, how to create an object for the scanner class? Let us look into that syntax. Name of the class scanner, because what does this say? Class name space object name. So scanner space, give any name. I am going to call the object as scan. So name of the object I am going to call it as scan, equals to new. Once again repeat this. Once again repeat this. Then I have the parenthesis. Now there is one more special syntax you have to follow here. What is that syntax is, inside the scanner parenthesis, you have to mention from where are we going to read the input. Where are we going to read the input? We are going to read the input from the standard input device. So system dot in. For using the output function println, how are you writing? System dot out dot println, standard output device, system dot out. So for reading the input, you are going to say system dot in. So what is the syntax for creating a scanner class object? Class name space object name equals to new class name of, inside that please mention system dot in. So this is the syntax. Done. Let us look into this now. So what is the first step I have to have? Create a class. Class is created. Public class P1. Then inside the class, main method is compulsory. So give the main method. So public static void main string args. Done. Main method is also done. Now for getting dynamic inputs, what is the first step I told you? Import statement. How to import? Import import Java dot. See, once you keep the dot, everything is showing. Whatever is present inside this folder, everything your NetBeans will show. So here what I have to use? Util. Now util dot. Look here again. Everything that is present inside the util is shown. I have to make use of scanner. Done. So first statement is going to be my import statement. So import statement is done. After using the import statement, what is the second thing? Create an object. So this is import statement. Import statement. Import statement is done. This is my class definition. That is creating the class. What is this? This is my main function. So now coming here, what are we going to do? Create an object for the scanner class. Why are we creating this object? Because inside the scanner class, I have predefined functions or predefined methods. So how to call a method, how to make use of a method? Object name dot method name. So that is the reason why you are creating the object of the scanner class. Now creating an object, what is the syntax? Class name space object name equals to new. Repeat the class name. Scanner of, what did I say? System dot in. That's it. Done. So import statement is done. Class is there, main function is there. Inside that I have also created the object of the scanner class. Okay, now what are we going to do? Let us create variables. Let us create our variables. I am going to say int a, b, sum. The three variables I am going to have, a, b and sum. Done. Now I want the value of A. I want the value of A. So what I'm saying, A is equal to, let us first say, system.out.println, enter the first number. I'm asking the user, okay, now enter the first number. So they are going to give some value. They are going to enter a number. So that number has to go inside this variable A. How to make it done? A is equal to, what is this A? Integer. For integer, use next int. This is the name of the function. How to call the function? Object name dot function name. So what is the object name? Scan. Scan dot. Look at all the function that it shows. I am going to make use of this function. See here, next to int. Look at the data. Select this. Done. Now, I am saying enter the second number. So first time I'm asking enter the first number. Now I am saying enter the second number. Second number is for which variable? B. Again, store the value inside B. So B is equal to scan dot next int. So this function, what it will do? Whatever data you are typing in the output window, this function will take the data, store it inside this variable. That's all. The function will read the data, bring it and store it inside that variable. Done. Now what I have to do? I am saying sum is equal to A plus B. Now I have to print the output. There you go. See how I am printing the output? A plus B is equal to sum. Now let us run this program. See what it says. When I run the program, see where it goes. Automatically it is going here. It is saying enter the first number. After trimming this, see what is happening. The cursor is keep on blinking. Unless and until I enter the number, it will not go to the next line. It will keep on waiting. How much ever time it is until I give a number and press the enter button. So let us say I am giving 25. See, even after giving 25 also it's not going. After giving the value, I have to press that enter key. Press it. See now what happens? This 25 is taken by this function and the value is stored inside A. Then next line is getting executed. See what it says? Enter second number. Okay, give the second number. Again, when I press the enter button, what is going to happen? This in next int function will read the second value, take it, store it inside B. Now, let us run this. Enter. See now what happens. So 25, that is the A value, plus 75, that is the B value. Adding together, I get 100. This is how to read a value dynamically from the user. So this program is to add two numbers and print the result. But what is the speciality of it? We are taking dynamic inputs. The value of A and B, I am not giving it. I am getting the value during the execution of a program. That is the speciality of this. Every time when you run the program, you can give different sets of values. See what I'm giving? See? You can give different types of values whenever you run the program. That is the speciality of your dynamic inputs. So used to read add two integer numbers. Let us be more specific. Two integer numbers and then we are going to print the result. Right. So this is how we are going to be taking dynamic inputs. So, what are the things we saw today? We saw today what is your scanner class? What are the functions present within the scanner class? What exactly is a function? What are the parts of creating a function? So, what is a method definition? What is a method calling? How to do each and everything? Where I explained you the each and every word, keywords, what is the purpose of these words and why we are using it. Right. So, these are all the things we have covered in today's session. So, we shall be continuing the class again tomorrow. We will be using the same. We will be still